There was a time when Katy Perry ruled pop music like a queen. Every radio station blasted her songs, every awards show wanted her, and every fan knew the words to Teenage Dream by heart. But somewhere along the way, the glitter faded. Fast forward to today, and Katy's name is more likely to trend for a bizarre performance or a viral meme than a chart-topping hit. The pop icon who once dominated the stage is now struggling to fill seats on tour. And people are asking, how did it all go so wrong? Her latest attempt to recapture the spotlight? A chaotic space-themed tour that's left fans more confused than entertained. Online, people aren't just criticizing, they're laughing. What once felt like eccentric pop stardom now looks like a desperate performance, and it's turning into a spectacle for all the wrong reasons.
Table stiff vibes. What in the Vegas pole dancing moves is this? She thinks she's running on the moon. Zero gravity, zero talent. Somebody send her back to space, she's high. Not the furry boobs. Off to space she goes. Don't come back. In her Taylor Swift era. What is this video game shit? Is she in Star Wars or something? The acting is not it. Why is she flying on that creature?
But the show is only one part of the story, because behind the flashing lights and out-of-this-world outfits, something much darker has been unraveling. It was supposed to be her big comeback, a high-budget, intergalactic spectacle that would silence the critics. Instead, Katy Perry's latest tour became a viral punchline. Dressed like a cosmic warrior with furry boots and tangled in wires, she floated, stumbled, and danced her way across the stage in what fans quickly dubbed a space-themed meltdown. Clips flooded TikTok and X, showing her fighting invisible monsters, riding bizarre creatures, and delivering robotic choreography that felt more like a video game glitch than a live show. The internet roasted her relentlessly, calling it everything from zero gravity, zero talent, to the most expensive cringe on Earth. Some fans even joked she was trying to enter her Taylor Swift era, only to land somewhere between sci-fi cosplay and public access theater. Comments like "send her back to space" weren't just jokes. They were signs of a public growing tired, confused, and slightly embarrassed for her. But that was only the beginning, because what happened next would spark an even bigger backlash, one that questioned who she really stood for. If there's one name in the music industry that still sparks instant controversy, it's Dr. Luke. And somehow Katy Perry thought it was a good idea to team up with him again, right in the middle of trying to rebuild her image. Her latest album, which she claimed was all about empowerment and growth, featured him as a major producer, and fans weren't having it. This wasn't just a bad PR move, it felt like a betrayal. After everything that came out about Dr. Luke and his alleged abuse of Kesha, many expected Katy to distance herself. Instead, she doubled down, saying he had never hurt her, and dismissing the backlash like it didn't matter. But it did matter, especially to fans who saw her positioning herself as a feminist while actively supporting someone tied to one of the biggest abuse scandals in the industry. It didn't just spark criticism, it shattered trust. The outrage wasn't just about the music, it was about what it represented. A pop star clinging to outdated formulas, willing to work with anyone for a hit, even if it meant ignoring the damage it caused others. And as the backlash built, another side of Katy started to show, one that wasn't just out of touch, but out of control. When Katy Perry joined American Idol, it seemed like the perfect rebrand. A pop star turned TV personality, ready to mentor the next generation. But instead of winning fans over, she made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Her on-screen persona quickly shifted from quirky to cruel. She mocked contestants, interrupted performances, and even mom-shamed a young singer for having 3 kids by age 25, all before the woman sang a single note.
3 kids, so that's like...
Get away from here. What are you saying?
Okay, Katy?
Nope.
It's okay.
If Katy lays on the table, I think I'm gonna pass out.
3 kids.
Honey, you've been laying on the table too much.
Anyway, I like to go to karaoke, like with my friends, and I did like a little bit of like church choir, and
Is this your dream? Is it now? If it's not your dream, you might need to leave because there's a lot of dreams behind you.
Oh, you know.
The internet lit up with outrage, calling her behavior mean, awkward, and just plain icky. And it wasn't just one moment. Across seasons, Katy's time on Idol became a highlight reel of try-hard gimmicks, bizarre costumes, and off-key jokes. Fans started asking whether she was trying to be the female Simon Cowell, but without the wit or charm. Critics said she was making the show about herself, hijacking the spotlight from the contestants she was supposed to help. Instead of evolving into a respected mentor, Katy looked like a pop star past her prime, desperate to stay in the spotlight by any means necessary. But if Idol was the warm-up act for her downfall, the real disaster hit when she returned to music. And no one cared. For an artist who once ruled the charts, Katy Perry's recent releases have landed with a thud. Her 2024 album 143 was supposed to mark a new era, bold, personal, and powerful. Instead, it debuted weakly and disappeared just as fast. Critics ripped it apart, calling it out of touch and painfully generic. On Metacritic, it scored a brutal 38, one of the lowest ratings for any mainstream album that year. The irony? It was marketed as her most authentic project yet. Fans saw right through it. From recycled empowerment anthems to yet another Dr. Luke production credit, 143 felt like Katy was clinging to a formula that stopped working years ago. Instead of reinventing herself like Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga, she circled back to the same safe, outdated sound and paid the price. Even her previous album Smile didn't fare much better. Despite pushing hard during her pregnancy and the pandemic, the public barely noticed. The world had moved on, and Katy, once the life of the pop party, was now seen as yesterday's headliner playing catch-up. But the real twist, it wasn't just the music that turned fans off. It was the growing sense that Katy no longer understood, or even respected, the audience she once captivated. And things were about to get even messier. Because while the charts were rejecting her, the courtroom was just getting started. As Katy Perry's music career faltered, her name started popping up in headlines for something completely different and far uglier. In 2024, she was dragged into a brutal legal battle after evicting an 85-year-old veteran from his home in California. The reason? She wanted to buy the property and nothing, not even his age or military service, was going to stop her.
Unforgivable. That's what Katy Perry has been branded after she launched a lawsuit against a dying 85-year-old veteran that she evicted from her $15 million mansion. Carl Westcott agreed to sell his Montecito estate to Katy Perry for $11.25 million in 2020, but later tried to back out, claiming he was under the influence of painkillers. Perry and her husband, Orlando Bloom, won a court battle in December 2023, making her the legal owner. She has since filed a counterclaim seeking $6 million in back rent and damages. Westcott's family has slammed Perry for her greed, with his son calling it entitled celebrity behavior.
The backlash was instant. News outlets tore into her. Fans were stunned, and critics didn't miss the chance to remind everyone this wasn't the first time she'd pulled something like this. A few years earlier, she'd tried to buy a convent and ended up in a nasty legal fight with a group of elderly nuns. One of them even passed away during the case. The pattern was impossible to ignore, and lawmakers took notice. Soon, a new piece of legislation was introduced, the Perry Act, designed to protect seniors from being pressured into real estate deals. It enforced a mandatory cooling-off period for any sale involving elderly homeowners, a law literally created because of her actions. Suddenly, Katy wasn't just seen as desperate or out of touch, she was viewed as ruthless, someone who'd throw compassion aside for personal gain. And just when the damage seemed done, she decided to go to space. In what was supposed to be an empowering publicity moment, Katy Perry boarded a Blue Origin flight and spent 11 minutes in space. She claimed it was about inspiration, breaking boundaries, and celebrating female strength. But back on Earth, the reaction was far from uplifting. Fans weren't moved, they were confused. Some were outright offended. In a time when people were struggling with real-world issues, Katy's cosmic joyride felt tone-deaf, indulgent, and completely disconnected from reality. And then Wendy's stepped in with a savage tweet that read, "Can we send her back?" It instantly went viral. Harsh, yes, but it captured exactly what the internet was already feeling. Katy's team didn't take it lightly. They called it bullying, accused Wendy's of shaming a woman, and even floated legal action. But the public, they weren't buying the outrage. Instead of sympathy, she got roasted. Comments like, "I can't afford groceries, but at least Katy Perry is super connected to love," summed up the tone. People saw her media team's response not as empowerment, but entitlement. Suddenly, it wasn't just a flop tour or a failed album. It was a full-blown disconnect between Katy Perry and the world watching her. But while the internet mocked her, others started asking a different question, one that hinted at something even bigger going on behind the scenes. With every flop, controversy, and public misstep, Katy Perry's name kept spiraling, and not everyone believed it was just bad choices. A growing group of fans and even entertainment insiders began floating a theory that her downfall wasn't organic at all. It was orchestrated. According to journalist sources, the media had been primed to turn on Katy as early as 2017, long before her albums tanked. They claim publicists and industry players saw her as expendable and decided to shift the spotlight elsewhere. Her feud with Taylor Swift didn't help either. Some say it was used as a convenient narrative to bury Katy while propping others up. A reporter known as Mr. Entertainment even claimed her career's collapse followed the same pattern as Christina Aguilera's, a premeditated takedown designed to generate clicks and keep the cycle of drama moving. And it worked. Katy Perry's name still trends. just never for the reasons she wants. Even fans started to question what was real. Why does she have the press against her if she's a good person? One asked. The answer wasn't clear. Was she a victim of a ruthless media machine, or just someone who made one bad move after another and refused to evolve? At this point, even the conspiracy didn't feel that far-fetched, because no matter how you looked at it, Katy Perry was no longer the vibrant, chart-topping star people once knew. She was something else entirely, a cautionary tale playing out in real time. Katy Perry's rise was explosive, but her fall has been even more dramatic. From stadium-filling anthems to empty seats, awkward performances, and lawsuits that sparked actual legislation, her career has transformed into something no one saw coming. And whether you believe it's all her fault, the result of industry sabotage, or a strange mix of both, one thing is clear. The Katy Perry we once knew doesn't exist anymore. She's no longer the carefree pop star in candy-colored wigs, singing about teenage dreams. Now she's a symbol of how quickly fame can shift, and how staying on top in today's world takes more than just talent. It takes awareness, adaptability, and maybe most of all, humility. So was her downfall inevitable? Or is there still a version of Katy Perry who could rise again? Let us know what you think in the comments, because this story is far from over.